This is the Palin Update on SaraNet Radio. I'm Kevin Scholla.
Too many in the GOP are still resisting that movement of this new crop of common sense conservatives. And if they're not careful in the GOP, there will be a third party rise up.
A new national third party? Just one of a myriad of issues brought up recently by Sarah Palin's brother, Chuck Heath Jr. Chuck now discussing issues, personal and political, on a great new website. Meantime, Governor Palin's dad, Chuck Heath Sr., has had some speaking engagements recently, and he's been keeping busy in beautiful Alaska. Today, they're back, the two Chucks. We enjoyed so much having them on before their big book tour, and now they're here again, this time together to talk about the tour, Sarah Palin, and so much more. Chuck Heath Sr. and Chuck Heath Jr. coming up in just a moment. It was a busy Palin week, to say the least. First, Todd and Sarah Palin attended the beautiful memorial service for American hero Chris Kyle. Then, another idiotic move from the lamestream media leaves the Washington Post with moose pie in their face. Later in the week, Governor Palin delighted patriots by live tweeting during Barack Obama's State of the Union address. We'll take a look back at the highlights. Also, the governor features a piece on guns from Neil Bortz, shares some great family photos, wishes a happy Valentine's Day to all, and gets ready to see Todd off on another Iron Dog adventure. And our latest edition of Steel Resolve with Sarah Steelman is straight ahead. First, we are so excited to have these two gentlemen here today, Sarah Palin's dad and brother, authors of the superb book, Our Sarah. Chuck Heath Sr. and Chuck Heath Jr., welcome back to SaraNet Radio.
Yeah, glad to be here.
How you guys been?
We've been busy, We've been busy up here in Alaska.
We had you on when your great book, Our Sarah, came out, right as you embarked on your big book tour, and now we have you back after that tour. How was it? I know you had a lot of adventures along the way.
That was a hectic tour, very interesting. We hit, 16 states in 2.5 weeks, and good time, a lot of good adventures. And
Chuck Jr., New York City, first time there for you, right?
Yeah, first time in the Big Apple, and I sure got my eyes open to the masses. I had no idea how big it really was. A little bit different than Alaska.
You know, I have an appreciation for that, even though I grew up 15 minutes from Manhattan. I remember many a time having friends visit from Indiana and elsewhere, and all they did was look up at the buildings. So, like you said, a different world from Alaska, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what I did, too. I walked the streets and kept my head cranked up. I just couldn't get over the height of the buildings. That was the most amazing thing to me. And the incredible amount of people, where they all come from.
And Chuck Sr., you're rubbing elbows with more world leaders. I understand you ran into Tony Blair.
Oh, yeah, I asked Tony where the Queen was, if he brought the Queen over, and he kind of got a chuckle out of that.
Listen, when you guys posted some of the stuff, I read everything through, but that was one overused term, but I laughed out loud on that one. That was great. That was great. Is there a favorite, I asked both of you this, is there a favorite stop you had along the tour?
To me, that's our easy one for us. Go ahead, Dad.
Well, I had two. We went to a Green Bay Packer game in Indianapolis, and then we spent a day at the Talladega Speedway and had a good time.
See, that's why we like you guys so much, sports maniacs too, and that was, I know you weren't rooting it to turn out that way, but that was that dramatic finish there with Luck bringing the Colts back at the end, right?
Oh, he's quite a stud, yeah. I'm a Green Bay fan. I bleed green, but I got to give it to Luck. He did a great job.
I know it was so hard to root against the Colts, being a fan of any team, with the whole situation there with Pagano, and you saw opponents going up and almost looking like feeling bad when they're scoring on them. But it was a wonderful year there. What was the reaction to the book, and in particular to Sarah, when you went out there in all these different places?
Well, I'd say the reaction from the people that actually opened the book and read it has been tremendous. We've received countless messages and the reviews from like I say, the people that actually read it. They've been great, and I think what was most important to us was When Sarah read the book herself, she hadn't read it. We didn't give her anything before the book was published, and I think she was a little, nervous. What do these guys have to say? And when she read it, and she gave us the thumbs up, she was real happy with it. That was the most important thing to us.
Did you change any minds out there through the book?
I don't know if we changed any minds. I think we just reminisced enough so people could remember how I raised Sarah and how Chuck grew up with her. But they just kind of grinned and remembered a lot of the things we all did together.
Yeah, and I'd say that I know we changed a few minds, Dad, because of the messages that I've received with usually that independent in the middle group that didn't have that much real information about Sarah. We got so many responses from people saying, I never knew this. I thought that this happened, and this is what I'd heard in the media before, and thank you for straightening it out and giving us the facts finally. So I think we did some good. We set some people straight. And Kevin, there are hardcore, people on the other side that there's no way you're going to change their mind. You can smack them in the face with the truth over and over, and they're never going to change their mind.
No, you got it, Chuck. The sad part, though, to me, and the astonishing part that keeps just happening is no one's trying to tell anybody what to think politically or what to think, in their own minds about any issue. It's this strange behavior toward Governor Palin personally. I mean, you could disagree with someone on everything and still understand that they are a good, well-meaning person, and that's the thing that has really stuck out when you see some of this craziness from people.
Yeah, I still think a lot of people are just very afraid of her. They're envious of her. They're jealous of her success. So all they can do is badmouth her. But she has a good following still. You betcha.
Now, Chuck Jr., your sister, Sarah, is definitely a maven when it comes to social media communication, Facebook, Twitter, you name it. But lately, you've made quite an impact online yourself. ChuckHeathJR.com really taking off, and you've used it for political messages and to defend Governor Palin. But lately, it's really run the gamut. You've shown some great pictures of Alaska, featured stories on wildlife. You've had reader contributions. It appears you're really enjoying this.
Well, I didn't mean to do any of this. This started out, during the book tour. As you know, I kept a blog of just a kind of daily journal of what was happening on the tour, and I got so much response from it. People asked me, can you keep it going? So I decided, well, I'll submit one thing a week or something on the Facebook page. And living here in Alaska and our family's history, I mean, the stories are countless. They just kept coming and coming, and it's kind of evolved into this, people saying, if I miss a day now, I get flack from people asking me what was wrong. Why didn't you post anything yesterday? So I try to, give them something every day, and from old family photos and the stories behind them to a few of my political thoughts. I posted something last night about my son at the rifle range, and it got a huge response. Thousands of people saw that. All I was saying was that here I am out, trying to teach my kid right from wrong, how to respect what a gun can do, how to handle it properly. And for you people out there that have a problem with that, his goal in life is to be a United States Marine someday, and he's going to be the guy that's out there protecting you. So quit griping about it.
One of the other political topics you tackled, you asked if it's time to really look into establishing a viable third party in this country. What was the reaction to that?
Well, that was one of these late nights when I was just fed up with this constant bickering between the heads of the Republican Party and what's been going on with the Democratic Party too, and the lack of anything being done in our government. And boy, talk about divisiveness on both sides. And I thought, why can't we just take some good common sense Americans, put their heads together? There are many millions of them out there, and start something that's going to be more productive. And I just kind of haphazardly put something down on paper, and then I typed it up, and pretty soon I start hearing from the national media, so I hit a nerve somewhere. I actually interviewed with Palin, of all people, on that topic, and so I don't know. It's something that people have told me it can't be done. You've got to go with one of the big machines, and I just personally feel that there are enough people out there that want something different. They're looking at what's best for the country, not what's best for the party.
I think you're right, and now more than ever. Chuck Sr., how did you and Sally manage to raise so many kids with common sense?
Oh, her mother did their mother did a good job. Yeah, she gave a lot of good spiritual guidance there, and I got a little discipline from me, and it paid off.
Do you think the messages and stories from the Heaths and Palins resonate because not only do you talk about real-life issues, but the way you present it? I think many people just appreciate the way you talk to people in an approachable and comfortable way.
Well, we look at ourselves as just a common, ordinary family. I am not political at all. My wife isn't real political. I don't know where Sarah got all that. She does a good job. But Chuck's, he's starting to jump through the hoops now, too, as far as these politics go, as you see.
Now, the book, Our Sarah, still going strong?
You address that, Chuck.
Well, we didn't. The thing that actually hurt us the most was the national, the mainstream or the lamestream media, whatever you want to call it. They didn't do diddly for us. We got help from Fox and some of the different personalities on that network, and some of the conservative websites and things like that. But as far as the national NBC, CBS, ABC, they did nothing at all to help us, which really bothered us because we had seen these hit books come out right before our books that were full of garbage, and here we are, finally spilling the truth. These are people that actually lived through growing up with Sarah and everything she went through. And so we had the testimonies of over 40 people, her closest friends and family, her real story. And for the national media not to want to even talk to us after they put all these lunatics on that wrote these garbage books, that was painful. But that being said, the book is still plugging along. We get orders every day. My dad, in fact, is if anybody out there, is looking for an autographed copy, they can go to my website, chuckheathjr.com, and there's a link on there where you'll see my dad's address, and he is sending out signed copies of the book with a signed Sarah photograph also. So every day the books are going out. We got another big order from a conservative website yesterday, and it'll keep selling, hopefully.
And again, that website, chuckheathjr.com. Tell everyone, Chuck Jr., about the porch.
Yeah, the porch is it's kind of this is something that comes up daily on my website, and it's a place where like-minded people can garner a little inspiration for the day, learn a little Alaska history, hear about some of our adventures, and they also have the opportunity to submit their own stories and their own adventures, and we're happy to post that too.
And you mentioned earlier about teaching your son about how to respect firearms. You go into your personal life on the site a little bit. Your mom, Sally, and your wife, Chuck Sr., undergoing surgery recently. How's she doing?
Go ahead, Dad. You live with her.
Well, she had a hip replacement 20 years ago, and it went down the tube, and they redid it, and she's gimping along. It's been 2 weeks now. She isn't bedridden, but she's on crutches and on a walker, and she's hurting. She feels bad about it. It's kind of crimped our lifestyle here, but she has a good attitude towards it.
And Chuck Jr., for those who missed it, tell everybody the little online joke you played on Mom with a picture.
Hey, first of all, I want to clear that up, Kevin. That wasn't a joke. That was a mistake.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I had posted, I had taken a picture of of my son and I think my wife and my daughter with my mom in the hospital right after surgery, and people wanted updates on her condition, and I posted something about, Mom made it through surgery, and she's doing great. And I posted this picture and didn't think anything of it, and all of a sudden I started getting these messages from people saying, "What the heck is going on?" And I went back and looked at my post, and instead of the picture of my mom in the hospital bed with family around her, there was a picture of one of Dad's buddies kneeling over a dead walrus on his back.
So, Mom grew.
but you see that, Chuck? When we saw it, I didn't even bat an eye because I said, we know how the Heaths are. They're a lot of fun. This could be, let's get Mom's spirits up with a ridiculous.
That was honestly a mistake. That was a mistake. That wasn't even a joke.
Oh, that is great. And Chuck Sr., you got to speak at Great Outdoors Day recently?
Yes, I went down to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and spoke to about 400 outdoorsmen, Idaho Fish and Game people, and I felt very, very comfortable to give an hour-and-a-half presentation. That sounds like a long time, but I had enough ammunition to keep everyone interested in it, and I got 100% positive feedback on it. So I was speaking from my heart. One guy said, "You spoke for an hour and a half, but I had 200 PowerPoint pictures there." And when you speak from your heart on things you did, and tell the stories, those pictures, I felt real good about it, yeah.
No, that speaking from the heart runs in the family. What does Sarah Palin think of your stardom now, guys? A book tour, an online presence, new fans everywhere. She getting a kick out of all this?
Oh, I don't know.
I think we're pretty small potatoes compared to her. Kevin.
Yeah.
So, we're the KVs for sure.
I was with her today at a start of the Iron Dog 2,000-mile snow machine race, which Todd takes place in.
One issue all over now is gun rights. The Second Amendment's been under attack. You two gentlemen have a special take on guns, being from Alaska, where it's really the norm to be a responsible gun owner. What do you think of the debate? I know, Chuck Jr., you touched on it a little bit earlier, but that's been going on lately in this country. Is it frustrating for folks like yourself who, it's just been second nature to responsibly own a gun?
Oh, I'll address that. Yes, exactly. I was at a gun show this morning, and they're always well attended, but you couldn't even move in there. People came out of the woodwork to stick up for the Second Amendment. When I was in Idaho, I went to a Second Amendment rally. Thousands of people showed up in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho for it. People that don't go to organize things like that, they were there standing up for their guns and their gun rights.
And I feel it's just, people that were raised with guns, and even if they weren't raised for guns, if they're interested in them and if they're going to go take a class on gun safety and how to, target shoot or whatever they're going to do, these are the kind of people, these good people like Ted Nugent, I don't know if you saw his Pierce Morgan interview the other day. 99.99% of these people are just the greatest people, you'd hope to meet. They're the people that will defend you. They're never going to abuse these weapons. These killings that we read about in the media or hear about, what's the common thread? These guys are all lunatics. It has nothing to do with, what we're fighting for. We're 100% behind the Second Amendment, and we understand it, especially living, being raised outside of large cities, where we depend on guns to bring our food in.
Very well said, Chuck. So what's next for the two Chucks? Another book?
Yeah, I'm working on one that focuses more on hunting, fishing, gold mining, more of our Alaskan adventures. And I'm still working on getting a publishing deal. I think I'm close, and I'd like to have it out probably by next Christmas. So that's keeping me busy, along with all these the blogs and things like that, as well as my full-time teaching job. I'm burning the candle at both ends for sure right now.
Chuck Heath Sr., Chuck Heath Jr., you're always welcome here, and we look forward to seeing what's in store from the Heaths and the Palins. Thanks a lot, guys.
Okay,
Thank you,
Kevin.
Kevin.
Yeah, hang in there.
Please be sure to visit chuckheathjr.com, a fun site with lots to offer. And if you haven't read the book yet, get your hands on Our Sarah Made in Alaska, the warm and engaging book by the two Chucks about Governor Palin. Just this past week, Sarah Palin called the media into question again after Field and Stream ran a ridiculous article questioning Sarah Palin's experience with guns. Governor Palin called it another example of shoddy journalism. Meantime, Chuck Heath Jr. penned a letter to the editor at Field and Stream. He questioned why the author wrote the piece about Sarah Palin's caribou hunt in the TLC show Sarah Palin's Alaska 3 years after the fact. And then Heath eloquently went on to destroy the hit piece using good old-fashioned facts to highlight the family's use and respect of guns, and then featured a quote from Governor Palin herself about this author who's obviously looking for attention. The governor saying, "He's the typical lying SOB type that I've been dealing with since 2008. I'm very disappointed in Field and Stream for printing his garbage." Read Chuck Heath's entire letter at chuckheathjr.com. Speaking of shoddy journalism, how about idiotic, flat-out crazy journalism? The Washington Post actually ran an article saying, ready for this, that Sarah Palin was joining Al Jazeera TV. A quote-unquote journalist by the name of Susie Parker actually ran this. Obviously false information in the paper after reading it on a satirical site. This ridiculousness led to a lot of fun on Twitter with people using the hashtag Susie Parker Scoops and then making up stuff like many in the media do so often. And Governor Palin understandably couldn't resist either, tweeting this. "Hey, Washington Post, I'm having coffee with Elvis this week. He works at the Mocha Moose in Wasilla. Hashtag Susie Parker Scoops. Hashtag Idiot Media." In case you ever forget why we love the Gov, there's a great example. Todd and Sarah Palin attended the beautiful memorial service for Chris Kyle this past week, on the governor's birthday, incidentally. Happy birthday to Governor Palin. The governor called the memorial a celebration of a great life, adding, "All in all, is there a finer human being who has crossed the 50-yard line star in Texas than Chris Kyle?" The governor and Bristol Palin are promoting ways to remember and honor Chris Kyle. Go to pathos.com/blogs/Bristol Palin to find out what you can do in the name of our fallen American hero. This past week, President Obama delivered the State of the Union address, and Governor Palin was watching with us, tweeting every inaccuracy and misstep of the speech. She also created another fun yet very meaningful hashtag. Hashtag SOTU. Gotta be kidding me. Palin summed up the speech saying most things Obama talked about are handled better on the individual, local, and state level. Growing our bankrupt Fed government is not the answer. And Obama's State of the Union was more recycled rhetoric. He wants to make the federal government more intrusive, bankrupt, and controlling. You can see all her tweets on Twitter at Sarah Palin USA, and for a complete tweet-by-tweet rundown and fact-check, just head to SarahNet Radio on Facebook. This well-received Twitter session is proof positive that Governor Palin certainly doesn't need Fox News, and that she is still very much in Obama's head. Also this past week, the governor promoted a townhall.com article from radio legend Neil Bortz called "Why the Liberal Hatred of Citizens with Guns." You can read it at townhall.com or access it through Sarah Palin's Facebook page. And as Todd Palin embarks on another Iron Dog competition, Sarah Palin posted some great pictures of the family this past week. Todd in Bristol hunting, Todd with Piper and Trigg at the Iron Dog facilities, and my favorite, a great shot of Sarah, Todd, and little Trigg with the simple caption of Happy Valentine's Day. Trigg rocking a number 22 football jersey in the shot, the same number his mom wore on the basketball court. Good luck and safe travels to Todd and the Iron Dog. A big week in Palin news. Now, our weekly commentary, Steel Resolve. Here's Sarah Steelman.
Thanks, Kevin. The more things change, the more they remain the same. You know, there's an age-old argument raging in this country between those who believe that a centralized government is better than one that is decentralized. It doesn't necessarily fall along party lines. This debate started with the founders themselves. When Washington was president, Thomas Jefferson was worried that there were some in his administration Alexander Hamilton to be specific, who wanted to return to a monarchy and a much more centralized aristocratic form of government. Jefferson, of course, believed that would be a terrible mistake for the new nation. In today's terms, it is the difference between the establishment, those who want to keep their power and stay in control, and the rest of us. In fact, Jefferson articulated his views in 1795. Here's what he wrote. Listen closely. Two parties then do exist within the United States. They embrace respectively the following descriptions of persons. The anti-Republicans consist of the old refugees and Tories, British merchants residing among us and composing the main body of our merchants, American merchants trading on British capital, speculators and holders in the banks and public funds, officers of the federal government with some exceptions, office hunters willing to give up principles for places, a numerous and noisy tribe, nervous persons whose languid fibers have more analogy with a passive than active state of things. Then he said the Republican part of our union comprehends, 1, the entire body of landholders throughout the U.S., and 2, the body of laborers, not being landholders, whether in husbandry or the arts. Think about it. Has anything really changed since 1795? This is Sarah Steelman with SarahNet Radio.
Tune in again next week for another segment of Steel Resolve right here on the Palin Update. And don't forget, the Palin Update, including Steel Resolve, is now on demand and available for download. So just head to SarahNetRadio.net, pick the show you want to hear, and you can listen anywhere, anytime. Well, that'll just about do it for this edition of the Palin Update on SarahNet Radio. Visit SarahNetRadio.net for continuing coverage of Governor Palin. Also, follow along on Twitter at SarahNet Radio, at Kevin Scholla, and at Sarah_Steelman. Also, we're on Facebook, so be sure to like SarahNet Radio. And Palin Patriots, a new series of articles written by Palinistas, is available at SarahNet.net. Some great stuff from Bader Carmut and Martha Zoller thus far. For some common sense perspective, check out Palin Patriots at SarahNet.net. I want to thank Sarah Steelman and everyone here at SarahNet Radio. Thanks to Chuck Heath Sr. and Chuck Heath Jr. And thank you for listening today. Please be sure to join us again next time for another edition of the Palin Update. I'm Kevin Scholla. Have a pleasant day.